Blumenthal.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. Thank you all for your service to your states and our nation, and I'm really impressed by the distinction of your backgrounds and your determination to continue careers of public service. Thank you and congratulations. Mr. Smith, I'm going to give you an opportunity to continue the response to Senator Whitehouse's question because he didn't have time to finish, and it's an important question if you have anything to add.
Thank you, Senator. I appreciate the question and the opportunity to comment on it. The founding generation recognized the importance of the civil jury trial right. It was enshrined in the Seventh Amendment. I do think it's one of the bulwarks of our legal justice system. One of the things I would say is both the federal rules of civil procedure and in slightly different language, the federal rules of evidence recognize that it is important for judges not just to ensure the just disposition of cases, but also the speedy and, to the extent possible, inexpensive disposition of cases. And I do think that judges have a role in trying to help move cases along so that it can be possible for some parties to try their cases, because civil jury trials, like criminal jury trials, are very important, not just for ensuring just results, but also for giving citizens and members of the community an opportunity to participate in that process.
Great. I noticed that you clerked for Judge Guido Calabrese and then for Justice Souter, two members of the federal bench I know well. Guido Calabrese has been a longtime friend in Connecticut, and then worked for the U.S. Attorney's Office in the Southern District of New York, and then went to Hawaii. How did you happen to go to Hawaii?
Thank you, Senator. I really appreciate the question. My wife and I both grew up in Hawaii, and we'd always known that we wanted to move back home at some point. I had been working in the Southern District of New York for about 6.5 years. And in the summer of 2018, my son, my oldest child, was getting ready to start kindergarten. And when we got to that point, we were thinking about what kind of education, what kind of upbringing we wanted him to have. And obviously, upbringing is great everywhere. But for us, having grown up in Hawaii, a particularly special place for us, we wanted our children to grow up there. So that was one of the reasons why that was the time period where we decided to move.
Well, Hawaii's gain was our loss on the East Coast, but congratulations.
Thank you, Senator.
Mr. Semper, you have extraordinary experience as a prosecutor and now as deputy head of the criminal division in the U.S. Attorney's Office in New Jersey. I note that you were the lead prosecutor in the first homicide prosecution under New Jersey's domestic terrorism statute, if I have that correctly.
That's correct, Senator.
Maybe you can impart to us some of the lessons of that prosecution and how we should be mindful of the need either for strengthening our laws or in some ways reforming them so as to focus on domestic terrorism, which I view as the most persistent and lethal threat to our internal security right now.
Thank you, Senator. In that particular case, the defendant was radicalized online. During the time of the incident, he had sought after a lot of material related to ISIS, and his ultimate goal was to go to Syria to join the caliphate. During that radicalization process, he killed 3 men in his native state of Washington before coming to New Jersey, which he was going to use as a jump-off place to go to the Middle East. Before he ultimately took the life of the victim in our case. The lessons that I learned in that particular matter was, one, it was a collective effort by law enforcement. We were very fortunate enough to have an intelligence sharing apparatus between the local authorities in Washington, the federal agencies who we worked with, and also our local authorities in New Jersey. I have found generally in my experience with law enforcement that there is no I in team, and collaboration is really key to identifying threats and neutralizing them. As far as the rest of it, the policy stuff, I would leave to you all, the experts. But certainly it was a case unlike others I had dealt with up to that point.
Thank you. My time has expired, but I wish all of you well. You're going to be great judges. And you will be the face and voice of justice for most litigants who can't afford to take appeals, as you well know. And I would just add my voice to others who talked about the immigration naturalization proceedings, which I do regularly. I'm going to be doing them this Friday in Connecticut. I love doing them. They give me hope and inspiration, especially as I get out of Washington from time to time. Thank you.
Thanks, Senator Blumenthal. Senator Lee?
Thank you, Mr.